Do you think we're heading towards another crypto bear market anytime soon?
Well, technically we are in a crypto bear market besides Bitcoin, really, if you think about it. People think we're in a bull market because of Bitcoin, but 99% of altcoins are down a lot against Bitcoin. They're nowhere near their 2021 major highs. The two major charts to look at is Bitcoin dominance. So that has to be in a downtrend. At the moment, it's in an uptrend. And others dominance. That has to be in an uptrend. At the moment, it's in a downtrend.
What the hell's going on with silver right now?
Silver is very much like Ethereum to Bitcoin. It's the queen. You know, the money will flow into the best of the best first. Once it starts to get overvalued, ratios will start to be undervalued, and then money will then rotate into the next best thing, which is silver, etc.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Tapping Into Crypto. We've got another special guest today. We're joined by the founder of Mastering the Markets, Mr. Dave Bird, aka the ASX Trader. Dave, how you going?
Yeah, good mate, thank you.
Yeah, so welcome to the show as well.
Cheers, buddy.
I know we've been trying to tee this up for a while, so I'm glad we could finally get you into the podcast, mate. So it's good.
Yeah, no, it was an absolute pleasure. Traffic was a little bit rough getting up here, but it was worth it.
Trip up from the Goldie, so we appreciate your time, mate. But you might have seen Dave under his name, ASX Trader writing for News Corp. So, the likes of, I've seen it pop up for like Career Mail and stuff like that. So obviously writing for some major publications. How's that been?
Yeah, really good, man. It was kind of just a bit of luck that Tanya, who was the business editor that came back, she was on maternity leave and she actually did one of my courses.
Oh, right.
And then when she went back from maternity leave back to work, they put her in charge of the business section and just said, go about it. And she goes, Dave, I love your content. You want to come in and start writing for us? So, yeah.
How good. Good. I'm assuming you've built a bit of an audience through that channel.
Yeah. It gets, it's, I think, almost the number one read in the business section now on a weekly basis. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, you're probably the only person not sitting on the fence. So,
yeah, exactly right.
So we are a crypto podcast. So people might be getting confused by the name ASX Trader, but you do love your crypto. So my first question is how do you navigate the markets between, crypto, commodities, equities, stocks? How does that look for your trading cycle?
Yeah, so on a weekly basis, I do a weekly outlook, okay? And I go across all sectors, all indices, all commodities, and then I just treat crypto like a sector. Yep. So if the surf is good there, I'm there. If it's not, I'm not.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, really easy. And this is the thing about trading and investing. You don't always have to be on something all the time.
Yep.
It's all about waiting for that right opportunity. Just like a surfer, surfers don't ride every single wave because sometimes it's not worth it. It's not worth taking the wave in and getting all the way back out again. It's all about waiting for that right opportunity.
Great analogy. Now I've got to give you some credit because you famously picked the top of the crypto market in 2021, and just recently you also picked the
Trump top.
The Trump top in December, January. So, mate, well done. I have a question though. How did you do that? And how are we looking at this point in time? I hope we're not nearing the top anytime soon.
Yeah, no, it's a really difficult cycle this time around, as I'm sure you're all aware. And I think it's that divergence from the altcoins to Bitcoin. And the same things happen in traditional markets as well. So you've had the SP 500, NASDAQ making new highs. The Russell 2000 hasn't still taken out the top from 2021 too. And we're having that same massive divergence in the Bitcoin to altcoins as well. So yeah, for me, it was just seeing massive divergence, lower in volume, getting that divergence in the altcoin Bitcoin pairings and stuff like that. And also just noticing the traditional markets, that euphoria, everyone's screaming the same thing. Oh God, Trump's come in, this and that.
I got a bit gross towards the end of last year. Yeah, it's a bit deafening how everyone's on the same side of the fence.
Yeah, one of the things I love is that opportunity whispers, it doesn't yell, okay? So when no one's really talking about something, that's often where the opportunity is, when everyone's yelling the same thing.
Yep. Bit crowded.
Probably not, means they're already on there and they're hoping to get rich, and you've always got to be really careful when everyone's on one side of the boat,
True. And were there any key indicators you were looking at to sort of help you make that sort of call?
Yeah, a few key things like Bitcoin gold ratio, MicroStrategy was a massive one. It had its blow off top and had a exhaustion gap up and blew off there. There was divergence from MicroStrategy to Bitcoin. We actually still have that now. Bitcoin's making a new high, but MicroStrategy isn't.
Okay.
MicroStrategy is supposed to be a leverage play on Bitcoin. So why Are we not making that new high there, if you know what I mean?
Yep.
These are the kind of divergences that you do sometimes get. It's the same thing we had at the bottom. So when the FTX collapse happened, Bitcoin made a new low, Ethereum didn't. So then you're going to, well, hang on, Ethereum is more risk on. Why didn't it make a new low at the same time? And it actually had that bullish divergence that way as well.
And is that a big thing for you, I guess, to get conviction in the market? It's not always just one thing. You're just kind of adding multiple pieces of a puzzle together till it looks clear to you. Like you said, that you get that waveform.
Yeah, definitely. So every week I do that weekly outlook, and on crypto, I look at Bitcoin, I look at Ethereum, I look at Ethereum, Bitcoin, I look at others dominance, I look at Bitcoin dominance, I look at gold to Bitcoin, SP 500 to Bitcoin, I look at USDT pair, USDC pair. So I get a picture of about 12 different charts telling me a story.
Yep.
You can be wrong on one chart. It's very rare you would be wrong looking at 12 charts and analyze them, and they all often will tell you that same story.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how I use that confluency across multiple charts to kind of paint the picture of what's coming next.
And you're mainly a technical guy, would that be safe to say?
Technical with a bit of macro, but yeah, mostly.
So how do you see
pure chartist? Yeah,
2025 has been a rough one, but even now, like we're seeing some geopolitical risks blow out, obviously in the Middle East, which is obviously you don't want to see that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that kind of like changes your approach to like the way you view your technicals now, or how you teach your group to sort of view?
No, not at all. So funny enough, the charts led that news before it even happened as well. So in Korea Mao 5 weeks ago, I actually said energy's bottomed, and I used that saying that opportunity is whispering, and I'm seeing energy bottom in here. In particular, uranium was something that was looking really good.
Yep.
And they've gone ballistic over the last 5 weeks, and then all of a sudden now the news is following up, and the energy's kind of the place where people want to be, but it was shown in the charts it was bottoming about 5 weeks ago.
Okay.
So no, I never let news influence my decisions at all. No.
Yeah, right. No, nice take. I think everyone out there is obviously, the guy that picked the top. Where do you sort of see us sitting now, do you think? Like, I know it's a bit hard, but what's the whispers at the moment, do you feel?
Again, it's really hard because I think there could be some kind of decoupling with Bitcoin and altcoins.
Yep.
Which, there has been a decoupling this year. So it's whether or not Bitcoin does do what it's supposed to do and be that hedge and keeps going. There's definitely some blinkers on, some divergent signals kind of happening right now. And it does worry me that every single person does have a higher price target from where it is right now.
Right,
there isn't someone that has a lower price target from now. So there is that little bit of a worrying sign. But at the end of the day, market structure is bullish. And as long as those sellers are selling higher, those buyers are buying higher, I'll remain long. If we do break kind of high 80s, like 88, 89, I would start to worry around then. But while we're above 88, 89K, completely bullish.
Okay. And you talk about their like altcoin divergence from Bitcoin. Can you sort of explain that to everyone, or?
Yeah. So one of the biggest reasons why I wasn't bullish on altcoins for the last few years is that the market's moving these 3 phases: accumulation, public participation, and the excess phase. Once you've had that, you then get a major correction of all of them. And if you ask anyone, when did you hear about crypto or get involved in crypto, they'll tell you 2017. That was the big public participation phase where everyone got involved. The excess phase was then that 2021 when we had COVID, everyone was at home, you couldn't gamble on sports, you couldn't go down the pokies or do any of that. So everyone started turning to the markets. The traditional markets were the exact same as well.
Yep.
So all these people, these addicts that needed to gamble, they turned to crypto and the stock market. It's funny because it's true. And not only that, they had all the time in the world to do it, and they had free money because the government was handing out.
Yeah.
So you had this excess phase. It was just every day something's pumping, something's going up, that kind of thing. And that was that 2021 excess phase there.
Yep.
And that's why I was really worried about this halving cycle.
Okay.
Because you'd had those 3 phases, then everyone was programmed into just buy every 4 years, man, you'll be rich. This is it. And when everyone's kind of screaming that same roadmap, it's typically because the professionals want you to think that way so they can use it against you. And that's what we had in that 2023 is that run up until the kind of the Bitcoin ETF. Everyone was on that roadmap, the Trump plan, that kind of thing. And it didn't go according to plan. Yeah.
Yeah. So your kind of takeaway now for altcoins is really like, it's just a wait and see game, do you feel? Or you're a bit more cautious than you are?
So altcoins, I will only ever buy an altcoin if it's outperforming Bitcoin.
Yep. You're there for a short time and a good time?
At the moment, that's all I've been doing at the moment. The 2 major charts to look at is Bitcoin dominance.
Yep.
So that has to be in a downtrend. At the moment, it's in an uptrend.
Yep.
And others dominance, that has to be in an uptrend. At the moment, it's in a downtrend, because others dominance is showing me that the others, which is everything from 11 upwards, is outperforming Bitcoin, Solana, the big boys. So when you're in alt season, the little guys will outperform the big guys. Happens in all markets, precious metals, energy, all of it. At the tops of the precious metal space, same thing. The little miners will outperform the bigger miners. So at the moment, no, you've got the big boys still outperforming the little boys, which means we're not in alt season yet. But yeah, waiting for that thing to turn around.
But yeah, like, would you look at like broader macro factors outside of crypto to understand like when risk could be favorable for altcoins? Like, for example, looking at silver outperforming gold. Like, I know historically that's been one to look at. You pointed at the Russell. Like, that's, I guess, for everyone doesn't know, like, is it top 2,000?
Yeah, Russell 2. Yep.
So it's more like an altcoin index of the stock market. So do you kind of want to see that progressing and performing with momentum before you can have confidence in altcoins?
100%. Yeah. So the Russell 2000 has always been in sync with the S&P 500, except for 2 times. One is now, and the other time was 18 months before the COVID drop as well.
Yeah, right.
So in 2020, the S&P 500 made a new high. The Russell 2000 didn't. You had divergence. You had the big collapse. And then now's the other time where S&P 500 has made a new high and Russell hasn't as well.
Okay.
Others, which are your altcoins, follows the risk on, which is the Russell 2000. If you put them on the same chart together, they follow each other perfectly.
Yeah, that's a nice little tasty treat for everyone.
And what is for the the layman out there? What does that tell us?
That crypto is like, altcoins are a risk on appetite, just like the Russell 2000 as well. So until we get that excess liquidity and things like that, and that risk appetite come back in, then they won't start popping off and going crazy until that appetite comes back.
Yep. And obviously we've seen some altcoins perform or outperform Bitcoin, this year. Like, some spring to mind, like Hyperliquid, what else is there?
Popcat for a bit.
Popcat, yeah. So
even Fartcoin is
Fartcoin. Do you look at fundamentals at all, or is it purely just technicals?
I don't look at fundamentals at all. We are friends with a company called Uptrade who do look into that, and they have come across ones like Hyperliquid, etc. And funnily enough, the ones that they say have the good FA are actually showing massive strength on the charts as well. So whenever I look at a coin, most people look at the USDT pair. Okay, that's their first mistake. You should always look at the Bitcoin pair, because the minute you buy an altcoin, you're taking on more risk. If you're getting more risk, you should be getting more reward. But instead of just guessing, go and do it. And this is the thing. If you look at Solana, they all exploded when the Bitcoin pairing changed market structure. Okay, so I got Solana down at $8, and then I loaded up again at $27, because at $27 is when it changed market structure against Bitcoin pairing. And if you look on the chart, that is where it started to pop.
Yeah.
Same with XRP, things like that. So yeah, you always want to look at the Bitcoin pairing, because that's where then the institutional money will come in. I used to run a crypto fund for a little while, and you have Bitcoin, okay, and I was never allowed to sell that Bitcoin unless it was going to bring me back more Bitcoin. So if I was going to buy an altcoin, I had to make sure that if I was putting 1 Bitcoin in, I had to be getting 1 point something back. So then I had to make sure that Bitcoin pairing was outperforming.
Was strong.
Yeah.
And so, moving away from crypto for just a second, what the hell's going on with silver right now? Because silver's ripped to, is it new all-time highs?
It's all-time highs in the Australian dollar, but not on the US dollar.
Not on the US dollar, but it's outperforming gold from my understanding.
It's just started to, and platinum has actually been the one that's really taken off lately. But yeah, silver is very much like Ethereum to Bitcoin. It's the queen. The money will flow into the best of the best first. Once it starts to get overvalued, other things, the ratios will start to be undervalued, and then money will then rotate into the next best thing, which is silver, etc.
What's the thinking there? Because obviously when, there's a lot of fear and uncertainty in the markets, people will rush to gold because it's the asset that's, that has held against the test of time, right? And when there's, more risk on appetite, people will flee to like crypto or, tech stocks. What's the idea behind people investing in silver?
So what we have just done only recently, and what I wrote about in one of my articles recently, was that the gold to Dow ratio, which is how much gold it takes to buy the Dow, has just changed market structure for the first time since 2000.
Oh, wow.
And it's only been down here 4 times before: 1930, Great Depression, 1970, the energy crisis, 2000, tech bubble, and now.
Jesus.
So we've only been down there 4 times before, which were all historical equity kind of crazy evaluations. Again, if you look at the Shiller P ratio as well, they were only the other 4 times we were above 30. So I believe we're going into a commodity super cycle, which is where money rotates from paper assets into hard assets, paper assets being equities, etc. And that's it. That rotation happens over decades. So major macro changes, I believe, are occurring, and money will start to rotate into what's historically undervalued now, which is your hard assets.
Yeah, gotcha. And so you're not exactly predicting a repeat of what's happened in those 3 other cases, like in 1930 and 2002. It's more of just a change in market structure.
So it's a change in market structure on the monthly, though, which is a bigger, large time, major macro kind of change. And then, gold, you got to remember, people are really scared, it's made new highs, but it only just made new highs against 2010. So it actually went sideways for nearly 15 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of, ranging.
That's it. Yeah. Whereas if you look at something like the NASDAQ, it's up 10x from the GFC highs. So you always got to be careful when something makes a new high, look back and go, well, how long ago did it make that high last time?
How do you go about building a watch list?
In crypto?
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, so from there, like I said, I only trade crypto when the surf's hot there.
Mm-hmm.
So my watch list is doing those ratios that I talked about before. When they all align, then from there, what I then start looking at is I start going through and start looking at which ones are showing strength against the Bitcoin pairing. And there's another thing you can do, which is called relative strength analysis as well. And then you can see whether or not it is outperforming Bitcoin, the benchmark. Yeah. That's how I build the watch list, make sure that it's outperforming the benchmark.
Is that the same for equities as well?
Equities as well, kind of, you can do let's say energy was looking good like it was 5 weeks ago. I go, energy is looking good. Then what within energy is looking good? Is it coal? Is it uranium? Is it oil? So there's then subdomains of that. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I identified uranium as being the stronger one, which is why I went there. And then from uranium, you then go, okay, well, what are the stocks within that sector? And then you can start kind of working your way down like that. Yeah,
interesting. And your name's the ASX Trader. Do you solely trade ASX or?
No. Funnily enough, 5 years ago, I jumped on Facebook and just created the alias because I didn't have a license. I wasn't legally allowed to talk about equities. You can't unless you're like, I am now, but I wasn't back then. But funnily enough, did some major calls. Like I called the COVID drop before it happened, called the COVID bottom, called the lithium top, things like that. And then start amassing a following that way. So it was just something I just did as whatever, I'll just make a fake name and do it that way. And it just kind of blew up, It wasn't something I was planning to,
I wish I was following you when you called that lithium top. I got caught out.
That was crazy. I was getting abused. Really?
That's how you know you're on the right side then, right?
Pardon?
When you're getting abused, you're on the right side.
Exactly. And that's when I know when I put something up and you literally get yelled at about it, you kind of know you're probably right. Yeah. Because what you got to remember is markets are designed for us to lose. Yep. Just like a casino. Most people that walk in a casino walk out losers. 3 out of 10 win. Okay, because they've got the probabilities there. So if the little guys are all winning, you got to wonder, well, hang on, what's going on here? They're not supposed to be winning.
That's a good point. Makes it pretty grim when you think about it.
Yeah.
But there's no crying in the casino.
That's true.
Well, that's it. Casinos wouldn't exist if they didn't make money. Markets wouldn't exist if retailers kept winning all the time as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've almost got to do the opposite to what your gut's telling you, and that's the hardest part, their psychology. The hardest part is selling when, you every day, you're like before the Trump thing, every day I'm waking up, my portfolio is massively green. Do you know how hard it is to say sell when that's you then going, I'm not going to wake up to that green every day. It's really hard to do that.
We've all been there. It's
you're just like, you love waking up and seeing your portfolio that green every day. Yeah. So the minute you hit sell, that's you saying, it's over, guys, it's done. And no one wants to say that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice topic. Like, I guess from our, I think a good insight for everyone would be like being an educator for so long, having a lot of people come through the doors of your courses and things like that, and your seminars. What would you say is one thing, if you're new to crypto or new to investing, or if you've had a few years under your belt, what do you feel like is over the years you've seen as one thing everyone should take away, like right now, or look into to, up their game? Like, I think you kind of touched it, like profit taking when the times are good. Like, you think that's the most important thing, or?
Yeah, obviously education, invest in yourself, and make sure you're always playing with money you can afford to lose as well.
Okay.
When I do go to the casino, the money I walk in with, it's already gone.
Yep.
So if I walk in with $1,000, I walk out with 500. I see that as a win because that 1,000 was written off. Whereas most people go in and go, "Oh, I'm down 500. I got it," and they start chasing, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So same thing with markets. Make sure it's money you can afford to park there. You can afford to lose it. When you're playing with money that you can't afford to lose, you start getting emotionally attached. Then you start doing things that you shouldn't be doing. So always make sure that it's money that you can afford to lose.
Yeah. And with the, I guess like the big notion, prior to this year was that crypto has this 4-year cycle based on the Bitcoin halving, right? It looks like we've kind of broken that right now. Like it hasn't followed the same trend that we've seen for, since Bitcoin's existence.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that sort of, is that completely broken now? Will it ever, head back to those patterns, or are we into a new era?
Yeah, this is what I was screaming from the rooftops years ago and kept copping, again, so much stuff about it. "Oh, you idiot, just buy every 4 years, da-da-da." But this is the thing. The 4-year halving cycle is actually the 4-year election cycle as well.
Yeah.
Okay? Same thing. The traditional market's moving the exact same way as well. And the bear market that you have in crypto is also the midterm election in the stock market as well. That's also the time that the traditional markets go down, et cetera, as well. It was broken in the fact that you've also got to remember there's always cycles within cycles within cycles. So within the traditional markets, you've got the 4-year election cycle. You've also got the 7-year cycle. You've also got the business cycle, 18-year real estate cycle. You've got depressionary cycles. There's all these cycles within cycles. Yeah. And that's the thing. The crypto industry is very young. It's only been around for 12, 13 years. It hasn't even been through a recessionary cycle yet. So you got to remember when it was born, it was the bottom of the GFC, and then we've only been up only. Yeah. So traditional markets have been in one of the biggest bull markets in history since inception. It has not gone through a GFC, a tech bubble, energy crisis, like that kind of thing yet, which is a major macro bear market. So this is what we don't know yet. How it's going around. So that's why I said don't ever follow this 4-year cycle yet, because there are cycles within cycles.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think we're heading towards another crypto bear market anytime soon?
Well, technically we are in a crypto bear market besides Bitcoin, really, if you think about it. No, this is the other thing. People think we're in a bull market because of Bitcoin, but 99% of altcoins are still there. Well, they're down a lot against Bitcoin, but they're nowhere near their 2021 major highs.
Yeah.
So most altcoins are still down 80-90% from 2021.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I honestly think they could remain that way just because the amount of projects that are popping up, and there's the new shiny project, every month it seems like. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we ever do get a proper alt season, whether those coins, that were hot back in 2021 reclaim those all-time highs this time around.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what happened in 2000 with the tech bubble as well. You got to remember blockchain is really the next internet as well. And 2000, the internet was the next best thing. But even Microsoft, that was the number one stock in the world at the time. Do you know how many years it went into a bear market after 2000?
Oh, no. I don't know.
15 years.
Oh, my God.
So he went sideways for 15 years, and it was the number one tech stock in the world, and it went there. And then now, yes, it's been amazing, but it did go into that multi-long bear market there as well. Crypto won't be as bad because stocks go 6 hours a day times 5 days a week, 30 hours in a weekly section. Crypto is 24/7. So in a weekly candle in crypto, you've got 160 hours.
Yeah.
So this is why crypto is amazing. If you're on the right side of it, you're getting 6 weeks worth of data in 1 week. But if you're on the wrong side of it, you're also getting these major corrections as well. So yeah, that's why crypto is amazing, because if you're on the right side of the market, you make an absolute fortune, but you can also lose an absolute fortune really quickly because you're getting these major cycle corrections quicker as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. We'll have to get you on again.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you call another top, maybe we'll have to celebrate. But, we'll include a link to the Mastering the Markets in our show notes. But is there anywhere else that they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook at ASX Trader. I've got a pretty good following there, but I'm actually going to be on the Gold Coast GC Live this weekend as well. So we've got over 130 people coming there to learn about the markets and see how they all talk to each other, etc. So if you're in town on the Gold Coast, come check that out. But yeah, just check us out at masterofthemarkets.com and you can follow us from there.
Absolutely, or the career mail.
Or the career mail, yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thanks again, David, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.